Amici di The Boat Show, ben ritrovati. Ci sono degli eventi, degli appuntamenti, delle regate nello specifico che riescono a coniugare l'essenza storica del passato, il fascino con la modernità, con l'evoluzione. Poi soltanto citare il nome fa venire un po' la pelle d'oca, fa sognare. Se dicessi Middle Sea Race, Antonio, ho centrato l'attacco?
Sì, vuol dire tanto e sei stato molto bravo. Middle Sea Race è tutto, è leggenda, è difficoltà, è regata, racchiude tanti contenuti.
C'è un'essenza inglese, ma anche un po' nostra, dai, perché
sì,
c'è il Giro della Sicilia.
È la risposta mediterranea alla Fastnet Race con un percorso tutto attorno alla Sicilia. Si parte da Malta, si gira attorno alla Sicilia e alle isole e si torna indietro per avere una lunghezza che deve essere superiore alle 600 miglia.
È più una storia di barche o di uomini?
Di tutto. No, secondo me i velisti fanno tanto, è una storia di una regata che ha avuto edizioni in bonaccia, edizioni in tempesta, di barche che hanno superato bene la tempesta, altre che non ci sono riuscite. È difficile perché lo scenario cambia continuamente, quindi tu devi attraversare lo stretto di Messina a vela, che non è per niente facile con tutte le correnti e anche il traffico commerciale che c'è. Devi passare attorno alle Olie e poi alle Egadi senza perdere mai il ritmo, cambiando continuamente vele.
Conta, se sì, quanto le esperienze per gli equipaggi?
Conta l'esperienza sicuramente, l'averne fatta, io conosco equipaggi che l'hanno fatto più di una volta nel tentativo di vincerla e non ci sono riusciti. Questo è.
Però è anche un appuntamento, tra virgolette, sportivo con la S maiuscola, ma anche un po', anzi sicuramente elegante, un po' glamour. Vedo delle barche tiratissime con le vele in carbonio.
Ma sai, le barche sì, sono cresciute tanto in dimensioni, sono cresciute tanto in velocità e adesso è un territorio di confronto anche per i maxi, che non era esattamente la loro regata fino a un po' di tempo fa e hanno impresso un'evoluzione nella velocità, nel record.
Siamo pronti, prontissimi per vivere l'edizione di quest'anno. Non sveliamo il vincitore perché è sicuramente, non dico una sorpresa, però insomma capiremo perché ce l'ha fatta e poi bisogna amare il Mediterraneo con tutte le sue bellezze e con tutte le sue insidie. Allora, Middle Sea Race edizione 2023, pronti, prontissimi per salire a bordo.
The Spirit of Yachting. Un programma in collaborazione con Rolex.
There's no more impressive sight in sailing than the start of the Rolex Middle Sea Race.
It's just quite simply breathtaking.
The Grand Harbour, it's a natural amphitheatre that is lined with people ready to watch the action.
It's like being in a coliseum. All us sailors are getting ready for battle.
And high above on the battery are the legendary cannons.
1 minute! The clock is counting down.
The anticipation of the cannons firing.
Everyone's jostling for position.
It's like being in a cauldron.
And it's heating up.
Building and building.
Tick, tick, tick.
Race mode! Race mode!
And the race is on.
Go, 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 go!
We have an amazing 110-strong fleet, starting off with the multi-hulls and leading way the amazing Mod 70 Limosa. And then to the smaller boats of the fleet. We've got local Corinthian crews like Elusive 2, two-time winner, and a double-handed entry all the way from the USA, Red Ruby.
Slow down, guys.
We've got the incredibly competitive group of mid-sized boats including the 52s. Red Bandit, winner of the Rolex Giralia. Caro, winner of the Rolex Fastnet race. And Warrior 1, again from the USA. And finally, the big boats in the fleet. Last year's Line Honours winner, Leopard 3. Lucky, 5 times Line Honours winner, Esramble. This really is a fantastic lineup for this year's Middle Sea Race.
From here, the boats embark upon a 606 nautical mile course that will take them up the Strait of Messina, round the volcanic island of Stromboli, along the northern coast of Sicily, then they turn down the west coast, rounding the islands of Pantelleria and Lampedusa, before returning back to Valletta in Malta.
It's such a beautiful course, racing around volcanoes and the islands. It's just fantastic.
The race itself is just magical. It really is the ultimate sailing challenge.
There can be everything from 0 wind to 40 knots, upwind or downwind or reaching, 5-metre waves, and sometimes the boat disappears underwater. There's so much water over the deck. Surfing on the edge, sometimes it's a bit too on the edge.
Everything happens quickly if there's any breeze. There's all or nothing and everything in between.
Boy, she can throw real big breeze at you, but when it's light, it's light.
That's part of the challenge. Who dares wins.
Dawn on day 2, and the main fleet are working their way up the Sicilian coast and into the Strait of Messina.
We had a very tough first night sailing up the Sicilian coast. We had many sail changes, very shifty weather, and eventually started beating into 20 plus knots of wind.
Overnight, storm-force winds have claimed a number of high-profile scalps, including Rolex Giralia winners Red Bandit, forced to retire after their headsail jammed in the rigging.
We're still in the pack with the top boats, and unfortunately, if then something like this happens, trying to keep our heads up and heading back to Malta.
For Karl-Peter Forster and his German youth team, retirement is a bitter pill to swallow. But at this level of competition, there's a fine line between success and failure.
The question is, do you allow disappointment to take over or the joy of sailing? And it's part of racing, part of competing. We need to tell young people how to overcome disappointments, difficult situations. I mean, that's part of the learning, isn't it?
Red Bandits is a Cinderella story of an all-Corinthian youth team from a lakeside yacht club winning one of yachting's most prestigious offshore races, the Rolex Giralia.
It all started almost by accident in the COVID year 2020. My regular crew, I had chartered a boat for the Middle Sea Race, they all dropped out. And my youngest son, who was a member of the original crew, I asked him, please, you have to fill up, otherwise I'm stuck with the boat, I can't sail it. And he came up with his fellow youngsters from our Bavarian Yacht Club. And we sailed the race, enjoyed it massively. At the end I asked, shall we do it again? And everybody said, yes, absolutely.
So Karl-Peter bought a TP52 so they could enter more offshore races.
My crew are basically dinghy sailors. They sailed dinghies all their life. So I decided to buy the boat, but I didn't want to buy it for myself. I wanted to basically buy it for the kids to be able to sail such a boat, and that's why we basically set up a foundation. The whole purpose is to bring young kids to big boat sailing, which otherwise they have a very, very difficult time to get onto one of these boats. For us, the outcome of the Rolex Giralia is the feeling that we can win any race. But the important thing is take a risk and we win or lose, and we win or lose together.
Emerging unscathed from the night storms as they round Stromboli are the leading monohulls in the hunt for Line Honours glory, including Italian entry Bullet and the defending champions Leopard 3.
The night was hard. Good for us. We had a lot of breeze and some pretty nasty chop. We're here around Stromboli, so last night's now forgotten. And who's the boat behind you there? That's Bullet. They're giving us a hard time at the moment. They're doing really well in this condition. and we must have only been minutes apart as we rounded Stromboli.
In the face of increasingly stiff competition, Leopard 3 has been optimised over the past year to make her faster.
We've stripped the boat out. The interior is, a lot more basic than what we used to have, and that's just equates to a weight saving around 5 tonnes. The rig is the biggest saving. We've taken nearly 400 kilos out of the rig, so the boat on the water is a bit faster, and that's what gives us a chance at line honours again here.
Trailing some way behind, but also chasing line honours, is Lucky, past 5-time winner as Rambler 88.
It's a light-air race, which it's looking like being. I think it'd be very difficult for us to beat a bigger boat like Leopard. We would love reaching, running, but upwind, she'll be a little bit quicker than us.
Behind them, and emerging from the Strait of Messina, 2 more professionally crewed boats, Caro and Warrior 1, tipped favourites to win the race overall on handicap. With Red Bandit retired, the battle of the TP52s is now a 2-horse race.
Yeah, so in terms of our competition in this race, there's obviously Warrior 1. We've sailed against them in the Sydney Hobart last year, and then of course in the Fastnet. They're a real threat. And then of course you've got the fleet right down. Given the nature of the race, we could end up becalmed for a day and then they come home in good win. So the Rolex Middle Sea Race is a difficult one to win. You need to clearly win your division and then have a bit of luck to win overall.
But aiming to spoil the party are the local Corinthian favourites, 2-time overall race winners Elusive 2. And lying in second place on the overall leaderboard, a double-handed husband and wife crew from the USA on Red Ruby.
We've been sailing double-handed together for 28 years. But coming over to Europe, where the double-handed scene is more active, and then getting to do races like the Rolex Middle Sea Race, we've never been to any place like this island in the middle of the Mediterranean that we had to find on a map just to get there.
One of the most amazing things about Malta that we've seen is the history. And it just looks like we're coming into a film set, but there's much more to it. It felt like we were stepping back in time. There's quite a difference in terms of the color of the water and the contrast to the land. It's a really special place. I will say one of our goals, in addition to doing the best we can in the race competitively, we want to be able to look around and see the nature and beauty that is here.
Rounding Stromboli has always offered crews a magical opportunity to spot wildlife. But in recent years, sightings have become increasingly rare. Stromboli is part of a volcanic archipelago called the Aeolian Islands. These nutrient-rich waters have always been a haven for fish and wildlife, attracting sperm whales, dolphins, and sea turtles to feed and reproduce. However, they also attract commercial fishing too, conducted on an industrial scale, which now threatens their very existence, as well as the livelihoods of the local fishermen.
Negli ultimi 50 anni, qua come in altre parti d'Italia e del Mediterraneo, stiamo assistendo a una regressione dei sistemi naturali dovuto in primis alla sovrapesca, conosciuto anche come overfishing. La varietà di specie, la bellezza degli habitat naturali oggi sono in costante decremento, in costante lotta con questi fattori purtroppo di origine umana.
On the Aeolian island of Salina, Blue Marine Foundation conservationists have been working with partners across the islands to establish a marine protected area to help stop the decline of the precious biodiversity. One of those partners is on the neighbouring island of Filicudi. With the help of her team of university students, Monica Blasi runs Filicudi Wildlife Conservation, a frontline rescue and rehabilitation centre for loggerhead sea turtles. With as many as 60 turtles arriving at the centre each year, their natural habitat is now critically threatened.
Le tartarughe marine navigano nel Mediterraneo e attraversando queste acque purtroppo si imbattono in minacce di natura antropica, principalmente intrappolamento in attrezzi da pesca abbandonati, come le ingestioni di ami per la pesca del palangaro, quindi per la pesca del tonno e del pesce spada, e attrezzi da pesca abbandonati come FAZ che provocano intrappolamenti delle pinne e degli arti, e poi ingestione di plastica.
The most recent arrival is a 20-year-old female called Rainbow, rescued from a fishing net which was entangled around her front flipper. After a thorough first aid checkup and a month of recuperation, Rainbow has been given the all-clear to return to the sea.
È un'emozione incredibile ogni volta, anche se faccio questo lavoro da 20 anni, quindi i frutti del nostro sforzo è meraviglioso vedere poi quando quest'animale ritorna in mare in libertà nel suo habitat.
The hope is that one day soon the Aeolian Islands will benefit from a marine protected area, so that sea turtles like Rainbow and all wildlife can enjoy their natural habitat in safety and thrive once again.
Si dice che la distanza più breve tra due punti sia una linea retta. Ma in una rotta nautica intervengono fattori impossibili da controllare. Venti capricciosi, correnti insidiose, onde possenti. Forze così poderose si affrontano solo con volontà incrollabile, grande esperienza e un formidabile intuito. Per perseguire i traguardi più ambiziosi, per trovare le risorse più nascoste, con passione, con furia e con umiltà. Quindi, la rotta che ti porta da dove sei a dove vuoi arrivare non è mai una linea retta, eppure il più delle volte è quella giusta.
Rounding Stromboli, Caro has stolen the march on Warrior 1 and opened up a slender gap, but this closely contested duel is far from over.
We've had a very interesting day, very close racing with the boats around us, Caro just ahead of us and a swarm of other boats just behind. All the forecasts agree we're going to be in for a very tricky night tonight. The breeze is going to shut down and transition.
Overnight, the monohull race leaders have managed to stay in good breeze as they sail hard to Pantelleria. Leopard 3 with a 5-mile advantage now over the pursuing Bullet. Behind, Pyewacket has moved up into third place ahead of Lucky as they take advantage of the breeze to try and close the gap. But where is the 5-time champion? And then she is spotted, forlornly floating off Favignana, her rig in tatters, and her race over. There have also been problems for Elusive 2. Overnight, they've lost vital weather instrumentation.
We lost the vane. Okay, can we make a vane? We've had a particularly hard time because we've been sailing without wind instruments. We have no wind data, so we've gone old-fashioned and we're just going on our feel and our experience with the boat to try and squeeze all the performance we can.
No such problems though for Alexia Barrier's French Mod 70 Limosa. They crossed the finish line in a time of 2 days, 2 hours and 10 minutes to be the first boat home and claim multi-hull line honours.
We are also happy to be first line honor in Malta today. The race was, like always, amazing. I think it was one of the best experiences for us this year. Looking forward to the next one. Maybe next year we'll come back and win again.
Meanwhile, some 350 nautical miles behind, on the opposite side of the course, first-timers Red Ruby are enjoying good breeze as they head west.
It's day 2, and we are just passing the last 2 Aeolian islands after passing Stromboli. Here we are now, going downwind towards the western corner of Sicily in about 15 knots of wind. Pretty grand sailing now.
Up ahead, the dueling TP52s Caro and Warrior 1 have rounded Favignana and finally got into a good reaching breeze, still neck and neck.
Warrior 1 and Caro are incredibly competitive, always tussling it out, and on time it's only a matter of minutes in it, so really you've got to beat the other guy home. So do you try and stretch out or do you try and keep it close? Stretching out might help you win the race overall, but keeping it close means that you beat one of the best competitors on the water, so we're always playing that game.
For the moment at least, Warrior 1 has a slender lead, but with Pantelleria and Lampedusa still to round, it's anyone's game.
We've got Caro just on our transom. It's been very close racing. We've changed sides and positions a couple of times already, so it's all to play for.
As the TP52s start to lose the breeze in their passage south, behind, the chasing pack in the 40-foot range find it off Favignana and move up the overall leaderboard. With Albator, Garm and Kokori all featuring. As the sun goes down on day 3, the race-long tussle for monohull line honours finally concludes as Joost Schultz's Leopard 3 crosses the finish line in Valletta 1 hour and 50 minutes ahead of their Italian rivals Bullet.
It's always been a good fight last year too. Last year they were following us in here and they were an hour behind us. Now they're probably 1.5 hours behind us. And it was mean to win the Rolex Middle Sea Race. It's the best, I think, the best 600 nautical mile race in the world.
A fantastic performance too by Andrea Recordati and crew of Bullet. At 93 feet in length, they're 7 feet shorter than Leopard 3, making the achievement to keep up with them even more remarkable.
I never came into this race thinking we would have had a chance to get line honors, but it's nice to be second and winners of a class. So that was really the objective, but that was also quite a challenging objective, and we managed to bring it home.
The next day at the Royal Malta Yacht Club, the official line honours presentation to Leopard 3. As race officials keep a close eye on the evolving leaderboard. With line honours now decided, the focus switches to the main event and the burning question: who will win the race overall on handicap?
What's great about this race is that all the boats, big or small, have an equal chance of winning overall thanks to a handicap system. Every boat taking part has a handicap rating. The bigger, faster boats have a bigger rating. The smaller, slower boats have a smaller rating. Multiply a boat's race time by its handicap and you get its corrected time. And the best corrected time wins this race overall.
With Bullet now on the dock, they've gone to the top of the overall leaderboard and set the benchmark for the remaining boats to beat. The battle of the TP52s is finally won by Caro, but their corrected time is not fast enough to challenge Bullet for the overall lead. Dawn the next morning, and the final push is on to get to the finish. At the back of the pursuing fleet and sailing hard, the small 33-foot double-handed entry from the USA, Red Ruby.
We're just on the east side of Lampedusa, over Chris's Head. Breeze has come back a little bit. We're going upwind towards the finish. Forecast looks kind of promising, so it's full on. We're not going to get a whole lot of sleep today, double handing.
Elusive 2, who had been leading, is dogged by light air conditions and is now struggling to challenge. And the group of 40-footers that had fared so well around Favignana have been thwarted by wind holes on their approach to Malta, putting paid to their chances. But this enigmatic race has one more surprise in store as the club's media team monitor the unfolding drama.
There's one boat out there that could beat Bullet for the overall win, Red Ruby.
and she's just through the Camino Channel. She's doing 10 knots, and she's 10 miles from the line, and I tell you, we've got a yacht race on here.
As Red Ruby sails through the Camino Channel, amazingly, they still have a chance to win the race. They have to be home by 2051, and that's exactly when they're expected to arrive. Could this husband and wife team on a 33-foot boat beat the professionally crewed 97-foot Bullet in their David and Goliath finale?
There was a big prize at the end if we could somehow pull this off. You know, don't make a mistake. Let's really talk through this.
It was pitch black and it was blowing about 20. We couldn't control the weather. We couldn't control the time we needed to beat. We just said, sail the boat as fast as we can. Could we win this? Our chances were getting better. We're ripping towards the finish. We can see where we're trying to go.
We did slap the hull a few times and say, come on, Red Ruby.
We just knew it was close.
So we crossed the finish line, and for me, it was a huge relief, but I also felt that it was probably a few seconds too late.
You missed it by 24 seconds.
Yeah.
In a 600-mile race, how many places did you leave 24 seconds? I could have done one better tack, one better call on the current in Messina Strait.
You know, but we came here to race a great race and put everything out there, and I think we tried to do that, and that's all you can do.
The overall winner of the 2023 Rolex Middle Sea Race is Bullet.
Winning the Rolex Middle Sea Race is something that I honestly was not expecting. It's something that leaves me ecstatic, still incredulous, to be very honest. Justin, Christina, please come up because I would like to walk a trophy with you. The 24 seconds, you know, that gave us a win, feel a sort of kind of, you know, a mixture of happiness and a bit of guilt. Doing double-handed and nearly winning it overall, it is just epic. This trophy is as much mine as theirs.
Next time on The Spirit of Yachting, we're in Australia for the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race.
The Spirit of Yachting. Un programma in collaborazione con Rolex.